And a team that is losing some guard depth and trying to make up for it is Denver.
Yep.
With the loss Jamal Murray, ACL injury, hopefully he recovers soon. There's no timetable for his return, so nobody knows when he is coming back. The Nuggets were 47-25 last year. They lost in 4 to Phoenix, a clean sweep. Chris Paul was dominating Jokic in the drop coverage, but they added some guys. Well, 2 specifically that were huge.
Uncle Jeff.
Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff, yes, and Nashawn Highland. Bones Highland.
Tough.
Busy Bones, who is a phenomenal player.
Jamal Crawford.
That's my guy.
They lost JaVale McGee, though, but, this year, I like Denver, man. Nashawn Highland.
You like everybody.
I do, man. I don't have any hate in my heart. Only for some teams like Atlanta. And the Bulls, too. My question is Nashawn Highland going to play over Campazzo and Austin Rivers? Could he win the starting job over Will Barton or Monte Morris? I think these questions are up in the air. I think Nashawn Highland has an extremely high ceiling because he's such an effective shooter. He reminds me a lot of Emmanuel Quickley, but I think he's a little bit more advanced than Quickley in terms of I think he has more speed and agility than Quickley. He can get to his spots better. Nashawn Highland is somebody that I was reading on Twitter about, and, some people brought up the idea of maybe he can get that starting spot, and now that can be their starting backcourt, Murray and Nashawn Highland, and give them that ultimate spacing. And I thought that doesn't sound like too bad of an idea, but with Campazzo and Rivers, who knows if he's going to get that type of leeway. Jeff Green pretty much replaces Paul Millsap and what he brought to Denver. And I think for Denver this year, for them to have a really successful season, it's about Michael Porter Jr. breaking out into a star.
Yeah.
He has an All-NBA incentive in his contract to get that $200 million. If he doesn't make an All-NBA team, he's not going to get that $200 million. So he's definitely going to come out to play. But I'm going to say this. Denver, their expectations should not be to win a championship or even make the Western Conference Finals. This is not the year, and it's too much to ask because we all know for them to do that, Jamal Murray has to be healthy. It's too much to ask of Denver for Jamal Murray to come back from an ACL injury and all of a sudden elevate them while he's trying to play his way back into shape and trusting his knee again. That's way too much to ask of Jamal Murray. Because of that, this is not the year for Denver. I do want to see an MPJ breakout. I do want to see Nashawn Highland get better, but this year's not the year for Denver. I don't think they'll be very good. In terms of the top teams in the West, I don't see that. Their ceiling for me is a 4 seed. Their floor is a 6 seed just because Jokic elevates them that much. But I am leaning more towards them being a 6 seed than a 4 seed. And Mike Malone has said Jamal Murray will come back when he's ready. No timetable yet. This could be a while. This is a process.
You mentioned Bones. I like Bones. I watched him a lot in college. Yeah, I know.
His music?
Yeah, it's not that good. I watched him a lot in college. He was a bucket. So I think
VCU.
Him being a starter, it's gonna be tough. Because that backcourt, you're giving up a lot on defense, but you're scoring a lot. I think Denver, when they played Phoenix, not only did they have a Jokic defensive problem, but I think they had a production problem from their backcourt. Morris, Rivers, Campazzo, they couldn't really do anything on offense or defense. They didn't show up. And I think bringing in Bones was good. It was a good draft. You bring in another guy. Campazzo is not a starting guard in the NBA. He's not. I don't think Morris is. I think Morris is a backup point guard, a really good one, but I think he's a backup. They need Jamal Murray. I think you laugh. I think right now,
it's true.
Like you said, this year is just let's see what MPJ is year. Let's see him. I think no Jamal Murray. It's going to be tough for them to compete with teams like LA, like Utah, like Phoenix. They're going to need Jamal. Playoff Jamal, people love to say they're going to need him for those type of series. So this year is just let's see if MPJ can be that guy. Because I feel like if MPJ can be the second best player to Jokic, I think this team, it really opens up the window for this team to win the championship. But nonetheless, losing Millsap, I think signing Aaron Gordon for the price was right because I feel like Denver doesn't bring in much free agents. So I think keeping him is good. He's still young. He's 25, 26 years old, so he's still relatively young. And he's a good defender. He's showed he's a really good defender. Good. And he plays well next to Jokic. MPJ locking him up. You get your big three now, Jamal, MPJ, Jokic. You just got to lock up Jokic for a little bit more years, but you got your big three core Will Barton, I want to see him healthy. You know, he was banged up last year. I feel like him coming off the bench and bringing that scoring punch along with Bones, along with Morris, I think that's huge. That would be good if Jamal Murray was starting. This is a really good team if Jamal Murray is healthy. But right now, my ceiling for them, like you said, 4th seed. Floor is a 7th seed. I can see them maybe. The West is so stacked. I can see them maybe a couple games out and get into the 7th seed. But the Jokic is good enough where they're going to be in the playoffs, no doubt about it. I'm not worried about them at all. They're going to make the playoffs. But in terms of championship contenders for me, this is a tier 2 team for me, like playoffs, just a regular playoff team. I don't see them making much noise because of the fact that Jamal Murray's not playing.
So without Murray there, you think Deshaun can start?
I think he.
I was gonna say eventually, maybe
I think
eventually.
he has to get more muscle. I think he's really skinny. I think he's really more suited for that punch off the bench. You know, that scoring punch off the bench. But I can see him starting because his scoring. He provides more scoring than Campazzo.
And Morris.
Yeah, and they both have been starters throughout the year last year. So if they want to go offense more, I think Highland can eventually get that starting spot. But Campazzo's a better defender. So I understand if he does start. He's a better playmaker, too. So I understand if he starts. You know, we've seen him start games against the Warriors or against Portland. He tends to take Dame and Curry. It doesn't look good, but he tends to take those guys. So I think towards the end of the season it can happen. But I think he's more suited to be that backup guard to just come in, get straight buckets, you know, like Jordan Clarkson, and just go put on the scoring show.
This team is interesting to me because last year, obviously, Jamal Murray goes out. We automatically think Nugget season is relatively over. Suddenly, they have this reemergence. They do go out and get. Did they get Aaron Gordon before Jamal Murray went down?
Yes.
So it's interesting because obviously you bring in Aaron Gordon, you have this quote unquote big three of Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. Excuse me. It's a solid group. Obviously, Jamal goes down. Our expectation for the Nuggets obviously drop. Suddenly, they start playing better, almost better than they were when they had Jamal Murray. And we see them go into the playoffs. Obviously, not many people thought that they would contend with the Blazers. Blazers obviously just were the more complete team, and they still overachieved there, and they won a series there too. So a lot of my questions really are what's the team look like once Jamal Murray comes back, and then obviously how you guys already stated already, MPJ. Like obviously this team, as good as Jokic is, he needs the second guy, and if MPJ is going to take that real superstar leap, then maybe they could really reach the ceiling of if MPJ is really like that, and given Aaron Gordon solid defense, is it out of the realm of possibility they're around the 2 or 3 seed, given the fact that they were the 3 seed last year? I really don't think it's the craziest thing to say, given the fact that Jokic is a premier player in this league. At the bare minimum, he's a top 7 player in the NBA. MPJ has the potential to be a superstar in this league. Aaron Gordon defensively is solid. My big question about Aaron Gordon is if he can play offense consistently. He can have nights where he scores 20 in a game, but then the next night he'll have like 8 points. We need to see it on a consistent basis. If they can have consistent offense, because from what I'm looking at right now, the only real consistent offense I see really is obviously Jokic, probably Michael Porter Jr. Outside of that, I don't see any real consistent offense that you can get in and night out. So it's not impossible to think that a Highland can come in and maybe get some minutes just to see what they have at the point guard position while Jamal Murray is out. I think that, in my opinion, I think their ceiling could be a 2 seed depending on Michael Porter's ascension this season. Their floor for me is probably around 5 or 6 seed. I don't think they go below that. I don't think that they're a playing team. I think that the team as constructed right now is good enough to have a solid spot in the playoffs. But it really does come down to who's going to be that second option for them while Jamal's out.
On paper, I like the way this Jazz team is constructed. I know they're missing their second best. Nuggets, pardon me. I like how this team is constructed. Obviously, they're missing their second best player in Jamal Murray, but I like the pick Bones Highland. I kind of see him as like a Jamal Crawford type of player, just to pack a punch off the bench. But I mean, like I said, I'm piggybacking off what you guys all said. I mean, without Jamal Murray, this is not like a championship level team. But what I will say is this is obviously a huge year to see what Michael Porter Jr. does, because it may not be out of the realm that Jamal Murray could come back and he might have to be the third option behind Michael Porter Jr. depending on how well he plays. Now, if that's the case, I agree. I'm all in with you guys. I think this team can win a championship. Obviously, everybody here knows I'm a Nets fan. The addition of Jeff Green, I think, is really huge. I think right now, I mean, Jeff Green came off the season averaging 12 points off the bench, shooting 40% from the three on like 5-6 attempts a game. So like he kind of rejuvenated his career because before signing with the Nets, there was teams that weren't even going to claim him off the free agency. So I think that's a huge signing. I expect another MVP level season from Nikola Jokic. I think this team's ceiling is probably the 4th seed though. And I think their floor is probably the 6th seed. I don't think that they're going to fall to be a playing team. I think this team is good enough to, hold down a playoff spot. I think Jokic is going to be Jokic this season. And I'm really excited to see the ascension of MPJ because all I've been seeing is the offseason workouts and a lot of people saying that he has this superstar potential. And he showed it in the playoffs. I mean, didn't he have like a 20-point quarter in the playoffs? Like the kid is like he can ball. He has to stay healthy though. That's been a major concern with him. But like I said, I think
He's older than you.
How old is he?
He's like 24.
Oh, he missed his first year. But
Don't call him.
I have a question for y'all. Now that JaVale's gone,
Grown man.
does this open the window for Bol to actually get consistent minutes?
I'm out on Bol.
you're out on him
Yeah, I'm out on Bol.
for real?
He's still.
Yeah, he is ugly, but it has nothing to do with
Oh
his
my
basketball
gosh.
skills. When
How's
he's
he been playing in the preseason?
they really haven't given him any
They
burn,
don't
really.
play- I'm not all out.
So they might be all.
I'm not out.
They might be out
You're
on
not
him then.
out.
I'm not out.
I'm not out.
But I'm not
Especially,
in.
exactly. It's
I'm
a
not out, but
weird
I'm not
in the
in.
middle. It's like when they give him
He
the
doesn't
opportunity,
play. They don't
that's
play
the
him.
issue.
Something's wrong.
Why?
He's just not good.
I don't know if he's not good because he can shoot the ball kind of decently.
I
Shoots
thought
like
he was going to be.
37,
I
30%.
honestly thought he was going to be much better than what he's shown. To be
It's
honest,
he was
just
a
they
steal.
don't give him.
I wanted the Nets to take him around that time in the draft.
I don't know.
I need an honest answer.
I really don't think it opens up much, to be honest. I don't.
So then, what's the second option after?
I think JaMychal
Jokic?
Green's that starting center for them. I think he is.
Yuck. Yeah,
JaMychal
literally.
Green's not bad, bro.
I've seen him in the Clippers.
But like,
He's
why
not
why not take the chance on Bol?
JaMychal Green's better than him.
I think you should take the chance now with Jamal Murray being out.
100%
though.
agree. 100%.
I want
agree.
to answer something that you brought up.
Mm.
You talked about how MPJ could possibly be the second option.
I
Well, it
agree.
depends how it goes this
I
season.
agree,
though.
too.
You
Bro, that
want
was
to
a
know
good
why
statement.
I don't agree with that?
That's really good.
Well, I wouldn't know if you thought it was great because I was watching you stare into the abyss.
So
Yo, you really were lost.
my fault. I do that sometimes.
The way Denver plays and they run their offense, it goes through Jamal and Jokic. Unless Michael Porter Jr. improves his playmaking ability and can read, what's going on, what's happened situationally in the pick and roll, I don't think he'll be the second option.
I think that's more dangerous stuff. MPJ can do
That's
it. than
such
Jamal.
a fact.
If he can,
Yeah.
but he's averages 1 assist.
Oh, yeah,
let's-
listen.
He's not
young,
even
though.
close to that right now.
Obviously,
He's young.
I
He's
think,
already a better scorer than Jamal Murray.
Well, in spurts.
question. If
Jamal Murray can light it up too, though.
Jamal Murray, don't sleep on Jamal Murray. Bro.
If
I mean, come on.
MPJ starts to shape his game like Jason Tatum, you're telling me that he can't be the number 2
I don't
option?
think he's Jason Tatum, bro.
I don't think he's Jason
Michael
Tatum,
Porter Jr.
which is more than fine with me. Obviously, my point being, if he has that type of scoring ability, and obviously he can get his shot off in multiple ways, he can score in multiple ways. You're not thinking that it's possible that if he starts to average 25 points per game, because he clearly, people do think that his ceiling is
That
25.
honestly really could
I don't
happen.
even think
The only way MPJ becomes a second option is if he is more effective with the ball than when Jokic or Murray has it. That's really what I
But
think. it's
Jokic
gonna be.
obviously is going to be the
I think
most.
It
the most
depends.
impactful.
It depends.
Defensively, he has to be
I
better.
think even
too.
MPJ just running pick and rolls and getting a switch, that would just
I mean, Jokic could run that to
just
death.
run that and just get it. So I don't think he needs to be a dangerous.
I think
playmaker.
MPJ is more suited to be a player that
a third
plays off
option.
the ball.
So you think
Yeah.
he's
He
more?
He plays
suited
off
for
the ball.
third
I don't
option?
think. I don't think that's him.
And they don't need him to play off ball this season. They need the ball in his hands this year.
I mean, when
I
he was
think
playing the
to-
best basketball of his career, he had the ball in his
I
hands.
think
in
to
an icy
unlock
situation.
MPJ, he has to play more on ball.
100% agree.
He
But I
can
just
play on ball.
don't see him becoming a second option, even if he takes this leap, because I think
So
their offense is ran through
I
Murray
feel like I'm
and
starting
Jokic.
to. Levine, when he first came in, was he more of an off-ball scorer?
Off-ball.
Yeah.
And what
But
happened
Levine
once
always
he came
had
to
that
Chicago?
ability, though.
But it's not like MPJ doesn't.
No, I'm saying like at UCLA, Levine had the ball in his hands,
Mhm.
and in the NBA, he didn't have it because he was playing behind Wiggins.
He's off the bench.
Yeah, they had
And Cat.
to ease him in to the NBA. But MPJ, I just think he's more suited to be an off the ball player, and that's not a bad thing.
It isn't a bad thing, but I just think that
I
if
just don't.
he has
I
this
don't think
clause,
I don't think he's Tatum, bro.
I don't. No, listen. I think Tatum's in a class. Look, I just say
Tatum's a superstar.
in terms of potential, like low key borderline top 10 too. But in terms of trying to shape his game as the way that Tatum does, as the way that Tatum approaches the game.
So you want him to be ISO heavy like Tatum?
I mean,
he's gonna have opportunities
It's a bit
this year,
different
though.
because when
That's the
when
way
I
he
see,
opens the door
when
to
I
the number
see
2 spot.
Jason Tatum, he just has such a great handle for his size.
100%.
I don't think MPJ has a great handle.
Not to the level of Tatum.
It's
Yeah,
manageable.
no, for sure.
If Jamal Murray is the second best player, they don't win a championship.